right? Put in the middle. Is that got the where you want to be? All right, well, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to come visit. Thank you very much for the invitation and for filling the room. You guys did a great job. We had typical realtors. We had 200 RSVPs, and this is what shows. But that's the way it goes in this industry. So if you've heard me speak before, I'm going to bore you for a few minutes. I'm probably going to bore you for about an hour. If you haven't heard me speak, I'll give you a quick update on my story. I grew up here in San Antonio. My parents got a divorce when I was 3, and I got sent down here to live with my grandparents. So I grew up in Inspiration Hills, went to Sunset Hills Elementary. Now it's Colby Glass. Mr. Glass was our principal when I was a kid. Went to Pat Neff. My mom remarried. We ended up in Galveston for a year, back to San Antonio. Went to Hobby, Marshall, and then they opened up Clark High School. And I got to be in the first class that graduated from Clark High School back in 1980. And so back then, 1604 was the death loop. There was nothing out here. You had to go from Days of Allah, you had to go down to Wurzbach to get a signal light or any lunch. I mean, there was just nothing out here. And went to Texas A&M. I flunked out of Texas A&M because I never cracked a book in high school. And back then, you just had to stand in line to get into that school. Now it's a really, really big deal. But back then, it was not that hard to get in. So I get in, and then they said, after about 18 months, son, you got to go. And so I came home with my tail between my legs. And that was the fall or the end of the semester, December of 81. And I thought, geez, I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I have no skills, no nothing. I'm baby face, 19-year-old knucklehead. And I was talking to my high school golf coach, and he said, go talk to my wife. She runs a real estate office. And I thought, well, my grandfather was in sales, and sales is probably where I need to be, so I'll go do that. And Yvonne said, and she's always been very nice to me, and she said, oh, Dayton, you'll love real estate. And I said, really? She goes, oh, yeah, you'll be good at it. And I said, really? She goes, yeah, sign here. And she slid that independent contractor agreement across the desk at me, and I thought, I had nowhere else to go. So I went back to my grandfather's house, and I pulled a sport coat out of the closet and figured out how to tie a tie. And that was January of 1982. And the first house I sold was Super Bowl Sunday, 1982. Nobody else wanted to work that day. I was a low man. So little 60,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a vaulted ceiling, FHA carpet, VA sheet vinyl floors, Formica. It was Hooker Barnes Homes over in Woodstone, close to Madison High School in that neighborhood. And we were selling the daylights out of those houses at a whopping 60. Now, the hard part of the sale was back then interest rates were 16%. And then they went up. So I don't hear any whining about 8%. For 8% to me is annoying, but I'm not afraid of it. And so the world's going to keep turning, and we're so blessed to be living in San Antonio because we've got built-in in-migration. We've got a very young population. There's a lot of babies being made in this town. The military turnover is huge for us. And so, and then obviously we've got the most diverse, most robust economy we've ever had as a city. And we just keep going out in concentric rings. So we still have the affordability. We're not nearly as white hot as Houston or Austin or Dallas, which I wouldn't want to be in any of those towns. I love San Antonio. It's my home. I love being here. So I get in the real estate business, and I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. And I was fortunate enough to be aligned with some nice people in a nice office, and I watched what they did. I watched how they dressed. I watched how they carried themselves. I watched the software they used, all that kind of stuff. And they poured into me when I was a nobody, and I sponged it up, and I still struggled. And so about it's perfect time to get married. So it's 1988. I'm broke. Actually, broke was up here. I'm somewhere in here. And so it's a perfect time to get married. And my wife looked at me that here runs a title company, and she said, this real estate thing might not work out for you. And I said, oh, wow, that hurt. Okay. Thanks for telling me the truth. That really, it's like hold a mirror in front of you. And so I thought, okay, well, that's all right. That's a good point. I'm going to go to UTSA. I'm going to get a degree. So just in case this real estate thing doesn't work out, I'll have something to fall back on. Because I couldn't get a job with the RTC. I couldn't get a job with the savings and loans, Travis, Gill, SASA, all those companies that got wiped out in 88 and 89. Couldn't get a sniff with any of them. So I go to UTSA, and this young person says, oh, I'm sorry, sir. He saw my transcripts from A&M, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, sir. This is not a junior college. And so, okay, sport. And so I go down to SAC and spent 2 years at SAC taking classes at 7 in the morning and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and night classes to make up for all my transgressions at A&M. Go back out to UTSA, and they said, wow, that's really good, sir. Sadly, the enrollment deadline was last week. And I know, oh, hell no. And so we went round and round a little bit, and they finally let me in. I earned my accounting degree. So it's now 13 years. This is 1993. So from 1980, from high school to 1993, I got my accounting degree. I promised my corporate tax professor I'd never do any returns. And I promised my Spanish professor I'd never be a diplomat. And so they let me graduate, and I just kept selling real estate. And things started happening in San Antonio. In the late 80s, we got HEB up here from Corpus Christi. Huge pop for San Antonio. They bought the Arsenal, moved a bunch of people. It was huge. And then in the early 90s, we picked St. Louis's pocket and got Southwestern Bell. And then when Southwestern Bell came in, they were probably about 400 executives, flush with cash. They bought every house in San Antonio, every $200,000 to $400,000 house in San Antonio. They just gobbled them all up, which was phenomenal. I didn't have any of the buyers, but I had the listings at that point. So we were working those deals as hard as we could. And then they bought Pac Bell and Bell South and AT&T, and all that talent and all that income and all that economic growth came to San Antonio. And we rode that wave for a very, very long time. And so this is the early 90s. We were at a really hot hand all the way up until 9/11. The market fell back, obviously. Things picked up again in 2001. And we were on a great run until 2008 when the market crashed again. We lived on short sales and Equator during that time frame to keep hanging on. And I'd done short sales back in the 80s, so that wasn't anything new to me. And so we figured that out. And then we took off again in about 2012 and just had a phenomenal run again up until they yanked the rug out from us on interest rates. And so, but it's been a great run. One of the biggest things I got involved in was a coaching program back in 1995. It was called By Referral Only. Is anybody familiar with that company? Few old timers? Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. This guy basically created the coaching industry for realtors and lenders. And he talked about before, during, and after the transaction, and the reticular activator, and Fred the Head, and all these metaphors, lots of scripts and dialogues, okay on processes, but mostly scripts and dialogues and marketing to get to create lead gen. And this is before the internet's just now coming around. And so this is our mid 90s. And every month we'd get a tape in the mail. And sometimes it was an 8-track tape. Sometimes it was a cassette. It was so long ago. And one of the cassettes I got was a guy named Rick Ruby. And he's this maniac lender from Michigan. And he's yelling and screaming on stage. Realtors are broke. Realtors don't pay their taxes. Realtors are maxed out on their credit cards. Realtors don't go home when they say they're going to go home. And I thought, holy smokes, this guy's been reading my diary. Because I had been there. I wasn't broke anymore, but I'd been there. I'd had certified letters in the mail, owed the IRS tax money, had my wife scratching her head wondering if she made a big mistake or not. And she still questions that every once in a while, but this Thanksgiving will be our 35th anniversary, so I managed to reapply every Sunday. Thank you. So I get my performance review every Sunday. These are things you did well, these things you need to improve on. Your contract's renewed for another 7 days. We'll see you again next Sunday. That's kind of how that works. And so that cassette was one of the things that changed my life. I listened to that thing, I don't know how many times, dozens and dozens of times. I would kill to have a copy of it right now. Somehow it got lost. I loaned it to somebody, didn't get it back. But I thought, I got to meet this guy. So I drove to Houston, went to an event where I knew he'd be speaking. He comes off stage and I said, man, I've been listening to your tape. You were talking to me. It was like going to church and the pastor just nails you. And you think, wow, how did you know I was that bad this week? Or that's what I thought. And there's 200 people in the room and you're looking right at me. And so I said, that was it. It really spoke to me. And he said, well, I'm going to open up my own company and it's going to be system, structure, and accountability. It's going to be a lot of accountability, which Mark alluded to and how critical that is for us. And we all have to have a boss. We need somebody to push us in the right direction. And generally speaking, I don't want to malign anybody, but generally speaking, my experience with brokers in San Antonio is they never put up really, really big numbers. They're managers. And managers don't make a lot of money. Salespeople make a boatload of money if they're good at it and they hustle and they stick with it. And so a lot of the brokers have to compete with you to keep the lights on and pay their own rent because they're not getting production out of their agents. They can't mentor you. They don't know what to do. So they're just hanging on their old school. And so this coaching thing really resonated with me. So I got involved in that program. I got to be a coach, and I was a coach for the last 16 years for these guys. And I got to speak all over the country, get in front of big groups of people, one-on-one stuff, group coaching, things like that. And we just had a blast. And then after a while, I thought, you know what? It's time for a change. So I gave that up at the end of June, and I'm going in with some partners, some alumni from this company, and we're going to open up our own coaching company. And we're going to have a soft opening in November, and we're going to go big in January, and we're going to coach. We're going to do the same thing, all the things we loved about the core minus all the things we didn't love about the core. So we're going to have customized coaching, group coaching, individual coaching, and some other things. So we're super excited about it. I'll ping you with an email if you have any interest. Let me know. We also want to create opportunities for coaches. So if people that mentor other people, there's a lot of kind of loosey-goosey coaches around here. We want to give them the structure and the back office support, the collateral, the platform to bring in more people, and then hopefully have a nice little side hustle that I certainly enjoyed for a long time. You're making an extra 8 or 10 grand a month being a coach, doing something that you really love and that you're passionate about, and you've got a giver's heart. That's not a bad combination. And so we want to create that opportunity for a bunch of other people. So that's kind of where we're headed with that. I was with RE/MAX for 37 years. Great company, phenomenal brand. They raised me from a pup. I got every plaque, trophy, anything you could name, because RE/MAX is all about the plaque. And I got them all. And if you ever come to my office, you can see I'm still very proud of some of those. And I'm proud of all of them, but a couple of them I'm particularly proud of. And then about 4.5 years ago, a buddy approached me about EXP. And I thought, the first time somebody did about 6 or 8 years ago, and I said, nah, I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're kind of the #1 team in the city, and I'm going to do 40 years with RE/MAX and ride off into the sunset. And I kind of thought that was my plan. And so I passed the first time. But I told him, I said, hey, I got somebody for you. I got somebody that's not really happy with her brokerage in Denver. And so he signs her up. She gets some other people. Now he's making money on people three states away that he's never met. Oh, well, that's kind of stupid. So fast forward a couple years later, opportunity presents itself again. And the guys that I was always been standing in line behind at the RE/MAX conventions, they were always number 1, 2, 3 in the state. And I was always kind of 4, 5, 6. So we got to be friends. And he was very gracious to me and very helpful. And he said his son was taking over the guy's practice. And Jimmy had done really, really well on some commercial investments and some other things. But so he's retiring. His son's taking over the practice, and his son didn't have all the emotional baggage that we did with respect to RE/MAX. I mean, I did 35 years, Jimmy 30 plus years, and all that sort of thing. But Andrew was very objective about it. He said, no, this is a better way to go. So they made the move. I followed him. I drug my feet for a little while, followed him 6 months later, and it's been phenomenal. And it's not an EXP pitch, but I just want to give you my story, if you will. And so that opportunity created some more opportunities, like the opportunity to own this title company, which I'm super proud of and super excited about. And being in this building, we had a nice little space. Now we got the most smoking hot title company in San Antonio. We got this training room that's available to us. Got the patio that's available for parties. I got a tremendous staff downstairs that will do anything to make the deal happen and get it taken care of for you. Like I said, Jesse's very modest. I mean, he is diplomatic fluency in Spanish. We have 2 or 3 other people that also have that capability. So we got a pretty good range. We do a ton of commercial, land, lots, you name it. We'll get it done for you. So we have several customers in the room. Thank you very much. I won't ask for the testimonials, but the fact that you're here tells me a lot. So, pardon me? Okay, everybody give me, no. So this is going to be about you guys. So anyway, that's kind of been my journey for 41. This January will be 42 years for me. I got nowhere else to go. I have no other skills. I did go back to A&M a couple of years ago and got my master's degree. And it was kind of a bucket list thing. It wasn't their fault that I flunked out. I love that school. I still have great friends from the short time I was there. I still have some very dear friends. And so it was always kind of a personal thing for me. And I went back and I earned a master's degree. Now I've got 2 degrees. I couldn't make a living in either discipline. And nobody would pay me as an accountant, and nobody's going to pay me as an industrial distribution warehouse guy. But I can do inventory stratification and customer stratification and trigger points and things like that. But I just kept selling real estate. And then things just kind of broke my way. I've had this Forrest Gump life, right place, right time, caught some really nice breaks, hung out with some really great people that motivated me to be better, a better version of myself. I made a million mistakes along the way, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, none of them fatal, but a couple of close calls. And so I've managed to survive all the ups and downs in the market. So I want to tell you that having seen 8% before, my time up, okay, wow, thank you. No, I thought I got the hook already. Oh, gee. I want to tell you that we're going to survive this market. It's going to be different. It was a fun little run. getting 30 showings on the weekend and 20 offers on Monday. And then I had 19 agents that were mad because they thought I doubled into the deal or put my buddy on it or whatever else. And so, yeah, it was kind of nice to get 20 offers, also kind of a pain to manage and present 20 offers and then do it again the next Monday and then do it again the next Monday. My coaching experience challenged me to grow a team and be bigger than I thought. I was thinking, well, if I can maybe make $100,000 a year, that'd be great. And then I was think bigger. Oh, 250. And that was a combination of Remax and the coaching and the people I hung out with, because they're making really good money and they're nice, but they're not geniuses at this business. And I got exposed to people in different parts of the country that were really putting up good numbers, both in units and at the price point. And I thought, yeah, maybe I can't do that after all. And so things just started picking up little by little. And we built a really nice business. So as Mark said, we're going to do 400. Last year we did 396 sides. This year we're going to do 410, 415, somewhere in that. We're not going to get to 4.25. Our high water mark was over 600. I mean, it was fun. We were printing money, and those were good days. But we can still manage just fine at 400 and have a really good business and a good balance and all that sort of thing. So the reason I'm here is to see if I can help get you guys through the end of the year, and what I think is going to be all of 24 is going to be really kind of tough. I think if you look back at what you've done year to date, the first half of the year was okay, and we were ahead of last year's numbers through June. But the second half of the year has been a little bit more challenging. Every time I talk to a lender, it's the last loan you locked at what?
7.625 for government, like
so 8% to 8.5
on conventional.
On a conventional, and that at par, or is that with a point or two? With a point. It's called so high sevens. I mean, that's a shock to a lot of people, and they know the rates have been going up, and they listen to the news, and they watch the information about the Fed, and then somebody says, well, here's what your payment's going to be, and they choke. And so it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a challenge, but I also tell you, we're going to survive. And so that's the biggest message I can leave with you is this. Thankfully, thank God that we're in San Antonio, that we've got the economy that we do, we've got the governance that we do. I don't agree with all the politics all the time, but overall, we've got great infrastructure. We've got a very diverse workforce. We have no natural boundaries, so we just keep going out in concentric rings. And if you've been around long enough, anybody got 50 years in San Antonio? Yes, sir. Thank you. 2. Okay. Anybody else? 3, 4, 50? No, you're not 50. No. All right. So not that many of us. And when I was a kid, Loop 410 wasn't finished. So I tell you kind of how old carbon date me. So we're very blessed. We've doubled in the last 30 years. We're going to double again in the next 30 years. It's a runaway train. And as long as we can keep a handle on it, we're going to do just fine. Make sure crime doesn't get out of sorts or whatever, issues like that. But we're going to be just fine. The job growth, the in-migration, the population growth is all going to be in our favor. So we're going to be all right. But now you got to go to work. So who's been in the business for less than a year? All right. Nice, man. I won't pick you're in the splash zone, so I won't. So less than a year. So they call your office and they call my office to go out on a listing appointment. Somebody needs to sell their house, and they got your name, they got my name, and we both go out and compete for that listing. Who's going to get that listing?
I'm hoping I will.
You're hoping, okay. Okay. Your resume against my resume, your credentials against my credentials, my accolades against your accolades, my experience against your experience. Who's going to get that listing? I should, right? Short of me totally screwing it up, I should get that listing, all right? Which I've done in the past. I've certainly chainsawed some deals in my career. But I should get that listing, right? Okay. You went to high school with them. Who gets that listing? There shouldn't be any hope. I mean, short of you screwing it up, you should get that listing. Their kids play with your kids. They knew you from a previous industry. What'd you do before?
Teaching.
Oh, excellent. Oh, educators make great realtors. They phenomenal realtors because they're empathetic and they understand learning modalities and communication styles and things like that. And they're infinitely patient. Pardon me? Yeah, talking people in off the ledge routinely. And pardon me? Include absolutely, yeah, especially parents. And so, so like I said, they know your kids. You're going to get that deal, right? They know your folks. You're going to get that deal. What's the difference?
Experience.
Not an experience. You got relationship. Who said that? 8 of you, but anyway, a relationship is the answer. So I'm a big reader. I was looking at the books that they're going to give away, and I've read them both. They're phenomenal. I've got hundreds and hundreds of books in my office. I give away a lot of books, and I'm going to tell you about a couple of my favorite ones. But I lost my train of thought for a second. Right, relationships. Yeah, they wouldn't have. They're somewhat useful. So you got to work on your database. You got to work on your referral partners. You got to work on VIPs. And so the tactics that I want to give you are that specifically, you've got to have a mailing list of at least 100 people. And you're not going to make a living on 100 people, but maybe if you get to 200 or 250 people, you might be able to eke out a living. Because if you get to 250, 25 of them are going to move this year. And in San Antonio, typically, our reload business isn't what it used to be with people working from home and things like that. So typically, there's going to be 2 deals. They're going to buy a new house. They're going to buy an older house in another neighborhood. Maybe they're going to downsize because they're empty nesters, all that sort of thing. And so you've got to have that relationship. You've got to have that database of 250 people that have a vague notion of who you are. And you're reminding them constantly that you're in the business and that you're a resource for them and you're available to help. And if they need anything related to real estate, they need to protest their taxes, they can call you. If they need, if they want to put in a pool, they can call you. If they're looking for a roofer, they can call you. If they want a financial planner or they want to refinance their loan, maybe next year they'll get refi calls. If they need to refi their loan, I've got somebody for you. You need to be that go-to resource for all those people. Within that population of 250, and I'm going to challenge you to get to that number, 250, you got 25 rock stars. You've got the 25 most affluent, influential people, people that you've got access to. I know, I'm sorry, it's boring. I know it is. The most influential people that you've got access to. You can have a bunch of doctors on your list, but doctors aren't going to return your call. So they don't need you right now. But so you need other people, industry and non-industry professionals that are aligned with you values-wise, that see the importance of aligning with you and being a partner with you on this. And you're going to be their go-to resource. So my boss and my coach at the core made me do some homework last year. And what I found out was of the 400 so transactions that we closed, 88% of those were referred to us by somebody. So the other 12% was sign calls, internet hits off our inventory, or occasional, we didn't know where to, they were orphans, we didn't know where to classify them. But the rest of them were database and referrals. And dug a little bit deeper, what I found out was I had 112 people sent me 350 deals in that time frame. So I had 112 referral partners that sent me 2 to 3 deals each. Now the bad news was, in the 2 years prior, I had over 200 people that had sent me business. So now I'm playing in 2 sandboxes. I'm playing in the 112 that is fresh and we're engaged and we know each other and we've been successful and it's very recent. And then personally, I got to go account for the other 80 or 90 people to see what happened to them. Did we screw up a deal? Did they transfer their affections? Did we miss something, drop the ball somewhere? Because we're certainly not perfect by any stretch. Did they get out of the business? I got a couple of that are deceased. And so we're trying to account for that other 80 just to see, is there something we can do? Can I get them back to neutral if they're mad? Maybe I can win them back at some point. And so that's kind of how I built my business. I got fat for 25 years, and all my friends getting married, having babies, getting promoted, getting divorced, getting remarried, reloading in and out of San Antonio. That was a great run. But when you get to be late 50s, early 60s, most people only have one deal left in them. And in San Antonio, it's either a Sitterly Garden Home or they're going to Horseshoe Bay. But they're not going to keep moving every 5 to 7 years. So if you've got that demographic, if you're in that late 30s, now household formation is not what it used to be back in the 80s, but basically if you're in the late 20s, early 30s, up until the mid 50s, that's a great population to serve because they're constantly turning over. They're constantly growing. They're getting raised, getting promotions, going through all the things that happened in their life that make them want to buy or sell a house. Once they get into the late 50s, early 60s, they're empty nesters. The good news is for me, they're not moving every 5 to 7 years, but they're very influential. They're at the highest point of their career. People ask them for advice and counsel all the time. They are reliable. When they put their arm around you as a referral partner, you're going to get that deal 9 times out of 10. And so finding those people, Cultivating those relationships is huge. So I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. Start with 5. Go find, write down, you might have, not everybody has paper, but when you get home tonight, write down the 5 most influential people that you know that are locals. Maybe they knew your folks. Maybe they knew you as a kid growing up. Maybe you worked with them in a previous industry. And go sit down with them face to face and say, hey, you may not be in the market for anything, but I was listening to this old man talk about building my network and building my business, so I'm here to network. Is there anybody else I should be talking to? And the goal of that meeting, that face-to-face meeting, it's not a phone, not a text. The goal of that face-to-face meeting is I want to come out of there with one of 4 things. A referral, where they say, you know what, as a matter of fact, my brother does want to buy a house, or the kids are moving, or whatever. So you get a referral, you get an engagement. An engagement is, hey, you know what, I didn't think we were in the market, but sure enough, we are. My wife called me, she found a house she likes, and we want to go take a look. Or we're thinking about selling or whatever. Sure lucky day. I know 50 realtors, but you're here right now, and I like you, and that's an engagement. The next one's a ticket. A ticket is, yeah, I do need a roofer. I'm looking for a landscape guy. I do need a new financial planner. I do need a new CPA. During COVID, I lost my 35-year dentist and my 35-year CPA. And so I'm kind of hoping those are going to be my guests forever, and that was very, very unfortunate. So having to identify new people and transfer all that was a bit of a challenge. But being a resource for those people to say, hey, I got a great attorney. Now that you're in Texas, congratulations, but it's different here. So you want to update all that stuff. I've had instances where we had one deal we worked on where the will was so old it didn't even contemplate the second child. So these 2 young ladies now grown up, they're late 20s, early 30s, but they were about 5 years apart in age. Well, he'd done the will the first time after the first kid was born, but then never got around to fixing it the second time around. So he's gone, mom's gone, the attorney that prepared the will is gone. So we had to prove there wasn't any other sibling, no claims on the estate. Thankfully, the 2 girls talked and were very civil with one another and got along great. There wasn't a whole lot of money to divvy up, but it was a nice little pop for them under the circumstances. So telling people that story, say we got to get that. You know, who's dealt with somebody that died intestate? Those are brutal. If they passed away without a will, those are, and our title company closes a lot of them, but it's tough because you got to prove, you know, was there a second marriage? Was there a product of the second marriage? Did they promise it to somebody else? And that's what title does, is to make sure that once you buy that house, no one's going to knock on your door and say, well, that was Daddy's land, and he promised it to me. And so that's what title insurance is all about. And so, but being able to tell those stories and say, yeah, okay, that's right. The one that got me, the hook that got me one time was, guy said about an attorney, said to me, he said, you have a will and a trust? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, what happens if something happens to you guys? I said, well, we got custody, we got aunts and uncles and things like that at the time. Well, I've got one daughter who's 28 now. And she said, he said, okay, let me give you this scenario. What happens if Child Protective Services gets there before your mom? And okay, I'll bite. What's the deal? And he said, you think some 16-year-old babysitter is going to be able to hold off Child Protective Services while it takes your mom 24 hours to get here, or 2 days, or 4 hours for that matter? And he said, that's not a good scenario. Talk about trauma on top of trauma. And I said, okay, you got me. And so basically it was a letter that just said, if anybody comes to the door, the babysitter can hold that letter up that says she's got the authority, and this is who's on the way, and all that sort of thing. And I tell that to people, especially with little kids, because I mean, that's the horror, the trauma of something tragedy happening, and then it gets complicated. They get into Child Protective Services, it may be a couple of weeks before you get them out, and you prove that you're really the grandmother or the aunt, or that you've got authority to take custody of the minor child. And so that's kind of that's a value add that you can call when you're calling your people and say, oh, by the way, I just heard a story about something. I know you got little kids. Have you contemplated this? You know, nobody wants to contemplate their own mortality. But I mean, sometimes you got to have the grown-up conversation of, do you have a will? No. Really, you're going to put your kids in a bad situation if you don't take care of your business. You owe it to them. And whether it's insurance or the legal documents or the do not resuscitate or the weed name, whatever it is, they got to act like a grown-up and take care of that business. And so but having a resource saying, I got somebody that I can push you with that'll knock it out for you like that and get it done. So you're building your network, you're building your database, you're bringing value to those people as a reliable subcontractor, somebody they can count on, somebody they can go to if they need anything, someone who's knowledgeable, professional, an extension of their practice. And my deal is, if you refer me somebody, I'm never going to hurt them, and I'm never going to let anybody else hurt them. And I'm going to bring them back in one piece, whatever we're doing, and communicate and all that other stuff. But the goal is to be an advocate for the client, protect their interests, really represent them well. And if you keep doing that and you keep those promises, then you're going to build a great network of business. So start with 5 and go see those 5 people and say, my goal of this meeting is to come out. Be very transparent with them. I'll make a sales call on you. And go, okay, fine, let's make a sales call on you. And my goal of this meeting is to come out with one of these 4 things. And identify them. I want a fee, a referral, an introduction, an engagement, or a ticket. I want to come out here with one of those 4 things. I want to do something for you. And then the other question is, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What, if they have referred you, you got to ask them, what allows you to continue to refer me with confidence? Well, you hook me up with first tickets all the time, or okay, well, I will never give that up, or whatever it may be. Maybe you take really good care of my clients and you call me back when I ask, or you have a fun Santa party, or my wife knows your wife and I can't do it any other way. Whatever the certain thing, but you need to know what that is so you don't ever abandon that behavior and take somebody for granted and say, well, yeah, we used to play poker all the time, but I got tired of doing that, so we don't hang out anymore, and they're looking for a friend. And they can send you a ton of business, but really what they want from you is being a friend. And if you ignore that or abandon that, then you do at your peril. So I'm going to open it up to some questions about, and it can be your question, or you can be asking for a friend if it's something. South Beat is having this issue, but one of my colleagues who couldn't make it here said, what's that? So I'm going to help you as much as I possibly can get through November, December, and get through what I think is going to be a challenging but opportunistic 2024. And then hopefully, and this is my completely uninformed opinion, in 25, regardless of the outcome of the election, it's going to be the ugliest thing we've ever seen. There should be some continuity. I think the Fed will finally get a handle on inflation and on unemployment rates, and so hopefully we'll get a break on the interest. I don't know. What are you hearing? Anybody?
I think by the end of next year, I think we'll see some drop next year. It won't be back down to the 4s.
No, I wouldn't be able to see the 4s again.
I think we'll be back down to the maybe the 6s by the end of next year,
yeah.
And then maybe the 5s, maybe the high 4s. It just depends on the economy, right?
Now that would be amazing if we got back anywhere near 4. And I think 5, there's going to be so much pent-up demand next year going into 2025 that if we get anything in the 5s, there's going to be a flurry of activity again. And so all these apartments that are filling up right now, those people are going to eventually migrate into, it's like that insurance commercial where they talk about becoming your parents. Those are so funny. They're too close to home. My daughter just cracks up every time. This is a space bar, and this is a whatever search bar, and she just thinks they're hysterical. I do too, because I'm going to laugh at myself because I'm that guy. But all these people in these apartments are gonna get married, start having babies. You're gonna move into single family housing. And there's gonna be some opportunities there. You're gonna have to plant a lot of seeds between now and then. You're gonna have to hang on tight and manage your money really well. But I think if we get through that, we're gonna be in really good shape going forward and have a really good run. So, questions? Yes, sir.
So, how do we get over the fear of asking for a referral where we don't sound desperate? So a lot of times, as we know, our business drives off referrals. How do you get over that fear and say, hey, I've earned the right to ask for it? How do you get over it?
So the fear is I'm afraid to ask you for a referral, or I'm afraid to be broke. Right? I mean, and it's basically, I mean, your job is essentially business development and sales, right? You got a great product. It's a great process. You take really good care of your customers. There should be no fear. You're not trying to do them wrong. You're not selling a malfunctioning car. I mean, you're a straight up guy. So you shouldn't have any fear around what you're offering. You got a great value proposition. And so there should not, I'm here to help you. What can I do for you? And then eventually you get into, I want to be, am I your number one guy? If I'm not, if I'm second or third in line, I need to know that. What am I missing? Well, my cousin got his license. How many's got that call? You sold them a house 3 years later. Oh, my spouse got their license. Would you talk to them? 3 years after that, they'll be back out of business, but that's okay. They took 5 deals from you in that time frame. And so you got to know, say, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I be a resource for you? And givers gain. So sometimes there's a law of reciprocity where you got to put some stuff out there first, and then it'll come back to you. Be willing to plant some seeds. That's kind of what we're doing here. Planting seeds for Phil Delgado at Goosehead, for Mark Harris, for Envision Title. We're planting seeds. We're giving this a really nice lunch, a couple of chuckles, and hopefully an opportunity to earn your business and get a cup of coffee with you after this meeting. They all should have hopefully have earned a cup of coffee with you after this meeting and a chance. And I saw several people that do business with Mark. If you don't do business with Mark, I'd like you to take a call and meet with him. If you do business with Mark, give him a greater share of wallet. I know you got other relationships, but giving out free cards, there's no value in that. And so, same thing with Phil. Give an opportunity to sit down and visit with you, tell you what to show him the array of products that he has and services that he offers and what he can do for you. And he'll take great care of you. So that's my ask. And then, obviously, come visit us in Vision Title. So that was one question. Yes, ma'am.
With you mentioning USB, it jogged my memory on something. I used to, as a USB, offer not home swap because my avatar is move up buyers, move up sellers.
Right.
As of October 1st, I got a phone call, knock is out of Texas. So that used to be the answer to a lot of fears of, well, if I sell my house, like why people want to move? If I sell my house, where am I going to go? It's like, well, with not home swap, you can buy your house and then, Right. So now that that's not a thing anymore, but you being in the business as long as you have, I don't know if you're aware of anyone doing something like that, since bridge loans are also not a thing here as well.
Those are tough. I mean, we do them sometimes. We've been very blessed, so we got the resources to help facilitate that, be the white knight lender for a short amount of time. And it's very frustrating to compete with Orchard and Open Door and all those people because they are not fiduciaries to the client. They are there for themselves, and we're all there for ourselves to a point. But we have, I think, a higher standard, higher obligation to our clients to not harm them, to advocate for them. They're principals. They want to buy the house low. They want to catch somebody napping, some little old lady in Alamo Heights who's lived there for 40 years and doesn't know her house is worth $600,000, and they want to snap it up for $300,000 or $400,000. Or they lowball anybody that's got a really nice house, less than 5 years old, doesn't need anything. They low it from 70, 75 cents on the dollar, and they don't care what happens to them after that. There's no relationship or anything else. And then they yank the rug out from them afterwards. Oh, we forgot to tell you about this repair list. Oh, you didn't tell me you had solar panels. Well, you didn't ask. Well, okay. And so you're dealing with a clerk who's looking at algorithms on a computer, who doesn't have the experience that we do, doesn't have the relationships that we do. They're not going to run into them at the grocery store like we are. And that, in San Antonio's a who-you-know town. It is a familiarity who-you-know town. But it's a big enough town, there's plenty of room for everybody to make a living. Does that help? Answer your question?
So,
is there a substitute
product?
product?
I'm just wondering, is there a program, a lender, or somebody like that?
So the problem is you in the state of Texas, right? Our Texas home equity loans. So most lenders won't do gap or bridge financing because of that. There are a couple of companies that will. I don't personally know them because I don't like them. Because they're competition. So what I recommend is writing up a contract and doing a
Contingent?
thank you, contingency offer or a
Lease back.
Do a lease back. I mean, depending on the market, it shouldn't be that difficult, right? Right now it's a buyer's market, but it'll be a seller's market again before we know it.
Well,
So,
in certain subsets, it's still a seller's market. If you got a good-looking one-story house under about $400,000, you get money.
it does. Why do some of them, like one day on the market, multiple offers, and the house next door sat there for for 3 months.
I mean, if it's a commodity house in a commodity neighborhood, yeah, it's going to be tough. But if it's got anything, I mean, if it's a nice house, inner city kind of deal, 1 story, it's going to sell really quick. And a good looking 2-story house with a pool or whatever, it's going to sell really, really quick. There's just not that much out there. I mean, I know there's 11,000 houses on the market. Got about 5,000 or 6,000 builder homes in MLS, and another 5,000 resale in San Antonio right now. But when you really dig down for the population that we have, the geography that we have, it's just not that many listings. And if you've got buyers, you're dragging buyers around, and they finally find one they like, oh, we got 3 offers over the weekend. Or somebody got it yesterday. Maybe not 3 offers, that might be an exaggeration. But somebody got it yesterday. And so there's going to be a lot of that. It's very frustrating. So you got every buyers locked up really good. That still wasn't any more helpful to you?
It answered my question. Yeah.
So there are companies out there. I don't think they're going to last. They're basically mortgage companies. They're private equity backed. They're fishing upstream. And the way they're getting market share is to push their money out on the table. That's their unique selling proposition.
Right.
And so, but they're not going to last. And they're not relationship driven.
Guild Mortgage does bridge financing in every state except for Texas.
Texas. Yeah, like I said, knock is if someone is coming into Texas purchasing, they can use that program. But if they're doing anything here or even selling here and going to another state, they can't do it. And they're telling us because of the loan laws and stuff like that. You know, they just couldn't.
The homestead laws and things like that.
Yeah, we were just that unique. So
I mean, that was a big fight. I don't know, probably 20 years ago we started doing HELOCs in Texas.
2001.
Okay, yeah, over 20 years ago. Where, I mean, before then, there was no such thing as a home equity loan in Texas, period. And there are a lot of people that had a lot of equity locked up that they couldn't get to, and they had to send kids to college, and there were some hardships. And so that's kind of what the appeal was. But, I mean, it's still very, very strict. It's 75% LTV. And
80%, 75% if it's an investment.
Okay, not owner occupied.
yeah.
Pardon me? I'm sorry.
Subordinate financing?
Yeah.
It's hard to foreclose on somebody under those circumstances, and that's where most lenders, and I do some hard money lending, and I've learned from some of the guys who are really, really good at it, and you just sign non-owner occupied docs because then they can drop the hammer on you. But if it's owner occupied and you lend them money, it's going to get ugly, especially if they go bad on you. And so, okay. Wasn't sure I answered your question. I hope you did.
Yeah, it's because when I used to work in city mortgage back in 2001 to 2009, we did a lot of subordination, short term, everything like that. We were able to look at everything that happened in mortgage. So now it's kind of hard for me to do referrals because I'm used to looking at everything the client has. So I don't know how I would do my referral.
And your role is?
I'm a real estate agent.
Okay. So that's why you align with a really great lender that can do that for you. Back in the old days, I mean, I was sitting in that model home out in Woodstone. I'd fill out blank contracts. There was a green contract for conventional, which we never did, and then you had an orange contract for FHA and a yellow contract for VA. They're about 6 pages, carbon paper, and I'd fill up practicing blank contracts if somebody walked in the door. And we did the same thing on financing. I mean, I could qualify somebody on the back of a napkin. First ratio, front ratio, back ratio, all that kind of stuff. Reverse engineer what their payment needed to be. Get out my little amortization book. You guys never seen one of those. And here is 15.5%, 30 years, and here's what the factor is times the loan amount. I used to be able to do all that stuff. Like some of it in my head. And so, but now it's changed. The laws change all the time. There's no way I can be an expert on mortgage. So I align with an expert that's going to shoot it straight. And my goal, what do you want from a lender? Close on time, bad news first, make me look good, make me look smart. Elevate me, if you would, with the client. But I don't want to hear from somebody else that they co-signed on their nephew's car and we just now found out about it. I want to hear it from Mark say, we got a problem. But also, if Mark says I can't do it, somebody else might be able to do it, or I can't do it, nobody can do this deal. And I'm going to say that's 98% of the time, if 99% of the time, if Mark can't do it. Nobody can do it. Guild is huge. They got an unbelievable range of products and services they offer. So you need somebody that you trust, and they'll tell you, don't waste your time with these people. They're game. We'll put them in a credit rehab program. We'll coach them up a little bit. Hopefully they'll be loyal to you 6 months or a year from now, but you're wasting your time if you're dragging them around showing them houses. Right? So, and that's got to be part of your deal. I really want to get you, before we spend before I waste your time, I want to get you with my best lender that's going to take really good care of you and give us some parameters on what we need to be looking for. And then Mark's going to let you know, hey, they're good to 3 1/4. You got to get a 2% seller contribution. They can handle that, not a penny over. And
It's hard because before we tried to do it ourselves.
yeah, you could, but
Yeah,
now you can't.
now-
It was kind of hard when we didn't have internet and cell phones and radios too. You got to work with the business a little bit.
And honestly, you want to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and God what is God's, right?
Yep.
Like if you're trying to be the realtor, the lender, and the title company, one of the other roles is going to come back and bite you in the butt, right? So normally what I tell people that I work with is if they're asking you questions about financing, say, hey, you know what? I don't want to step on anybody else's toes or give you the wrong answer. Let's get Mark on the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
Just stand and say. Thank you.
So for region, when you're talking about building, so I've been in about 2 years, but first year I was an assistant for another team. So now I've been activated and doing it on my own for about a year. And the question is, I'm really trying to deep dive into building relationships, getting involved in the community. You got the PTA, you got 50 different groups
Right.
that I'm trying to get involved with to meet people. Because I was staying home for years.
Right.
Like I know like 9 people in my head. But so trying to kind of get that out there. But I guess seeing the progress on turnover for that, like the effect of that, like for the last 4 months we've been doing that, and I've probably gotten 1 lead out of it.
Right.
So I'm like, how long is the expected wait on starting to see some results from instead of like buying leads or building from the base up?
So you're never going to stop doing that if you want to build your business.
Right. I guess I'm just how long does it take? Like, do I need to stick to it for 2 years without
Yes.
GLPs before
It
got
takes
my expectation? Yeah.
People ask all the time, how do I get more listings? Well, you can call FSBOs and expired, which I wouldn't wish on anybody. Or you can put buyers in houses for about 10 or 15 years, and they'll start calling you back. That's how we do. I mean, I worked a lot of buyers for a long time. I lived on phone duty. I lived on sign calls before there was an internet. I lived on open houses until I built my book of business, and it took years, and I struggled for a really long time. Part of this exercise today is I want to accelerate that process so you don't have to go quite the brain damage that I did to get there. Now, the good news about San Antonio is when I was selling houses back in the day, they were $60,000 houses. So you made a whopping $1,800. There was no 90-10 split, no 80-20. It was a 50-50 split. So you made $900 minus your gas and all that thing. Now, average ticket's over 10 grand in San Antonio. So you don't have to be a volume junkie to make a good living. You don't have to be a volume junkie to replace an educator's income or something like that. And it's a way more fun way to make a living. And it's and meeting nice people, taking care of people, enjoying life. It's the best. I mean, I never dreamed about being in real estate. I know anything about it, and I'm just so fortunate, so blessed to be a part of it. It's been a blast. So yes, sir. In the back.
Because I'm going to do my Shane's plug first. I'm Andrew Morin's stepson. I'm probably the only person here who does not have their license yet. But I know I can get marketing questions answered by him. I've been to his KV4 classes, and I've seen people come to his classes, and in day 2, they're getting leads.
He's a KV4 genius. That's why we have him. And so.
I wanted to ask you specifically, your younger self with all the knowledge you have now, where's one thing that you weren't doing that you wish you were doing? You go back and tell yourself, do this.
I wasted a lot of time chasing rabbits on stuff that I shouldn't be getting out of my field, and I haven't done it in a while. But every once in a while, something shiny. Oh, look at that. Let's go. And whether it's too far away geographically or not in my wheelhouse, and so being super laser focused and disciplined about that, I think is what I lacked early in my career, and so that was huge. It set me back without just being an immature knucklehead and not wanting to grow up.
I got a question.
Yeah. Hang on one second, Phil. Yes, sir.
Give me your opinion on text messages versus a phone call, and how do you get around people that want to just text and not call?
You got to, as frustrating as that is, you got to meet them where they are. Yeah, and that's the language they speak, whether it's Spanish or English or whether they're knower thinkers, feelers, auditory, visual, kinesthetic. You got to figure out what their language is, what their disc profile is, and to communicate that. So if they're most everybody knows disc. Yes, right. You know what you guys are, what you think you are.
Yeah.
Right. So being able to recognize that guy's a D. He doesn't want to talk about the weekend or the game or anything else. He wants 3 bullet points. Boom. Don't waste my time. Somebody else, and the C will hold you to the bargain every single time. They're the one to read the contract 5 times, maybe you change things, initial things. That's a C. The S's are, you didn't ask me about my kids. You didn't ask me about the weekend. You didn't butter me up at all. You just went straight in with, we're going to do this, this, and this, and you didn't cultivate a relationship with me. And all you needed was 2 minutes of, how's it going? How's the weekend? That sort of thing. And so, and unfortunately, I wish everybody just did it the same way every single time, but it would be a boring life. And figuring that out and getting ahead of it is going to be huge. So when you do, then you can kind of morph on, this guy's no nonsense, straightforward, let's go. This one wants to chat a little bit, and figuring that out. And we're all wired different. And I learned a long time ago, somebody said, is this a good time? Because if they just got crushed by their spouse or their boss or whatever, you don't have a chance. So, and when you're talking to somebody, hey, do you have a minute? Is this a good time? And they say, no, it's really not a good time. Cool, I'll call you tomorrow. And so we're dead in the water at this point. And so that's also a good way to kind of get engaged on that. Does that help?
One other question.
Yes, sir.
Would you count that text message on a greatness tracker as a contact?
If it was an outbound intentional, there's a greatness tracker is a form we use to what you should do by the end of the week. 15 face-to-face meetings, 5 break breads a week, 75 conversations a week. Let's give it up for our Carlos Arcader up there. Shameless plug, sorry. But I mean, great guy. 75 conversations, 20 thank you notes a week, handwritten notes, birthday notes, things like that, and then tracking the leads that came in. So if it was an outbound, intentional deal, and it's your deal. So you say, yeah, I really made some effort to engage this client. You kind of use it there, send 15 texts, and okay, go check, and you're not getting any business.
If I invited you here, you're doing a greatness tracker. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Live conversation.
Yes, sir.
So, question: you mentioned greatness tracker, and we've got a full room here of 60 people, and Dayton runs a team of, we got young realtors, seasoned realtors, a lot of experience, and share with us, based on your wisdom and knowledge, we've got 60 people here, and whenever this social media boot camp 2.0 is going to happen, there's going to be about 300 or 400 people there. How much time and energy and effort should someone be focusing on what you shared on today, and that silver bullet of social media?
Well, I'd love to be an Instagram influencer. My days as an Abercrombie model are long gone. It's not going to happen for me. There's nothing charming about me. So I'm a systems process guy, but it's a good system that's reliable and replicatable and is scalable. That's what I look for now. For anything that I do or get engaged in, I think, can I do it over? Is it replicatable? Can we do it again and again and again? Can I scale it? If I can't scale it and I can't do it over and over again, I don't want to fiddle with it. And that's a hard discipline. It's taken me a long time because I haven't, like I said, I chase the shiny objects every once in a while. Oh, that's really great. And so being intentional and focused, I can answer your question, you've got to get the database right. You can have all the social media posts in the world. You don't have anybody, or your database is a bunch of little old ladies in nursing homes. It's not going to do you any good. So you got to have the right demographic profile. You got to have some really good content. You got to be a problem solver and a fixer. That's where KV Core comes in, because you can throw bait out there to get quick. Hey, who's your favorite whatever? Which that's not really a value add, but at least you get some engagement versus, folks, I got a one story coming up under 400, North Central San Antonio. Please let me know. I don't know what the rules are anymore on MLS, which coming soon, so all that sort of thing goes in trouble. But getting that out there, or if, hey, this builder's offering an unbelievable discount. This builder has 4.99. I know you don't want to hear that. I'm sorry. But they're offering 4.99, and you can't get that anywhere else. And so you now got some content that is useful. Now, let me introduce you to my insurance agent. He's a phenomenal guy. And you post something about Phil or you post something about Mark. He's the answer great for anything related to mortgage. And you elevate those other people, whether it's your favorite restaurant or your CPA, your financial planner, your insurance agent, your lender, and that's not about you. That's not look at me, look at me, look at me. That is, I'm going to help you. If I elevate you, it's going to come back to me. And I say, I'd love to interview somebody else on our podcast or something like that. And you're bringing value to your referral partners.
I guess what I'm really trying to drive home is the fact that when I ask realtors, I teach it in one of the classes, what's your number one revenue generating activity? And everyone wants to say social media, but yet, for the greatness of crack, what we're talking about is face-to-face interactions. And would you agree that there's going to be no substitute for that face-to-face interaction, that relationship building?
Well, their number one revenue generator might be social media. They're not making any money. They're not making real money. They're not making go to hell. They're making okay. And so I know that's part of, I understand it's the industry, and that's what a lot of people do. Let's sell because it's so sexy. Oh, let's run these ads, let's do this, let's do that. Let's be on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all this other stuff, and all these other platforms. And if they sell more than 400 houses a year, I'd be happy to visit them.
You can't be in a relationship
No.
via social media.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I came to take your class because I've been in the industry 22 years. One of the things that I've learned is what got you here will not keep you here.
That is correct.
So I'm struggling because I've had people throw the pitch at me about, you got to get on social media, but for me it's a generational gap because I've learned about shaking hands, eye contact, calling to take advantage of you. The struggle with this, I'm used to that. So
It's just not working. I mean, that's part. I mean, it's just flat out working. And so, yes, it's very difficult. If your constituency is not doing this all day long, it's going to be really. If you could spend a lot of time and energy on that, but if the people that you're working with, your profile client, is not on that platform, you're just wasting your time.
just likes don't pay my bills.
That is correct.
I need somebody to come. Hey, let's go look at the house today.
Yeah, I will admit it annoys the daylights out of me that some little 19-year-old Barbie doll is making $50 grand a month trying on clothes. I think I'm missing something. I am not doing something right. And so I'm very jealous of that. And that's not me. That's not my shtick. This is it. I'm a stiff. I mean,
I think it's go viral.
I'm a process guy. Checklist system process guy. Because that's how you scale it. That's how it happens. Same thing every single time, without fail, processes. And so you can get by on personality for 1 or 2 deals a month. And we all know that person. There's nobody in this room, but we all know that person that runs around with their hair on fire, sticky notes everywhere, voicemail's always full. If they answer the phone, their kids are screaming in the back of the car or they're at the grocery store, right? But people like them. They've got gravitational pull. They're attractive in their own way. People love them. They're fun to hang out with. I wouldn't want them making decisions on whether or not I should live or die, but they're just really fun people. You can do that for 1 or 2 deals a month. If you want to get bigger than that, that's just living on personality. And you can do it. You want to get bigger than that, you've got to have systems and processes. You've got to have a free listing package. You've got to have a marketing plan. You've got to have a marketing calendar. You've got to have a whole lot of stuff to give you some structure around your business. That'll get you 3 to 5 deals a month without plowing yourself into the ground. You got to have a great database. It's got to be super tight. You got to be intentional in what you're doing every day. You got to really go to work. You're going to make $100 or $150 or $200,000 in a commodity business with essentially no barrier to entry, you better get really, really good at what you're doing. Because that's what this is. I mean, there's nothing special about any of this. And so you got to be really dialed in on what you're doing. And to get to the next level, you got to have leverage. And leverage comes from teams. So building teams that do the work for you, if you want that. If you don't, you make a good living on 4 deals a month, 50 deals a year, 500,000 GCI in San Antonio now. You keep 50, 60% of that, and you don't have to worry about payroll, or you don't have to worry about employees or anything else. I mean, that's just stupid money. You can live like a king in San Antonio on 250. You can do that year in and year out. And so you don't have to do 400 deals a year to get there. You can do it. And then I people say, well, I want to be a $100 million agent. Great. Here's what a $100 million agent looks like. You got to push this much money out on the table every single day. You got to have 10 employees. You got a payroll. You got oh hell, I don't want that. Okay, good. What do you want? Well, I really want to make 250. Great. Let's sit down with Mark and figure out P&L and what's it going to take to get 250, all the way down to how many leads do you need to generate to get your conversion rate where it needs to be able to spend this kind of money to net this much and then pay taxes on it. He will do that for you. And anything else that we talked about, any system, process, checklist, you get to Mark. Mark will get it from me. He's going to be the clearinghouse for that, or Phil. And I'll share anything with either of those guys, and then they turn around and share it with you. If you had one more question, say my one.
That was going to be my point. Right now, a lot of folks are focusing on getting a lot of realtors, real estate professionals, insurance agents are focused on becoming really, really, really good at social media. Okay. And not developing a brand. Okay. What are you posting? What are you communicating? If you don't have a brand, you're wasting your time. Here's the deal with branding. 3 things make up a brand. Okay. And I'll get the first one out of the way, advertising. Advertising. That's 1/3. Okay. The second third is face-to-face interaction. You're gonna get a certain feeling when you leave here of who Dayton Schrader is based on this interaction in person. And the third one is your product, your process. Okay. So advertising is just 1/3. And social media is important, but it shouldn't be your full advertising campaign. So we're talking about 1/6 of your business. But everyone's focusing 9/10 of their time on becoming really, really good at social media. Is it important? Absolutely. But finding those 5 people, starting off with those 5 people, that's how you're going to get rich. That road, okay? That's how you're going to get rich. That was kind of my point, guys. And if we don't share some things with you guys, then we're just wasting your time today, because we want all of you guys to fulfill your God-given potential. People are going to get rich in this market, period. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
People are going to get rich in this market, period. We want that to be you guys.
Part of that growing to the next level, we talked about systems and processes, and then the next jump comes from the leverage. And leverage comes from your team, and comes from your referral partners. So imagine if you did that exercise that I challenged you with earlier, and you do that for 5 people, and then you do it for the next 5 people, and you do it for the next 5 people. What if you woke up on January 1st and you had 20 people in your stable that were committed to sending you 1 deal next year? That's not that far-fetched. And then you're going to get sign calls, then you're going to get some other stuff out of your database. But if you had, if there is a shortcut, and there's really not a shortcut in this business, that is it. Because I'd rather deal with people that can send me 3 deals a year than people that are going to buy 1 every 7 to 10 years, and then know 50 other realtors between now and then, and all that sort of thing. So that's where it gets really, really good. Is when you've got great referral partners that are pouring into you. And I got to babysit 100 relationships, and I also babysit 1,000 past clients. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to ignore that population, but time, energy, and effort is focused on those 100 people that are consistent referral partners. And I'm taking really good care of them. What do you need? How can I help you? Whatever. So again, that's if you get to be a volume junkie, call me. We'll have that conversation. I'll tell you about how it works. And we've got to start with building your practice. A deal a month, 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month. Do I want to get bigger? And there's a favorite Raving fans. Few of you. Anybody? Oh, what's rule number 1?
Take guys on.
Okay. Anybody else? Nice man in the back. Rule number 1? No? I'll save you $25. Rule number one is know what you want. What do you want? What does your client look like? What do you want? First-time home buyers, move-up buyers, reload buyers. What do you want? Number two, what does the customer want? Do they want Nordstrom's, or do they want Costco, or do they want Walmart? What do they want? They want a cheap discount. Do they want an unbelievable? Do they want agent to open every time? They want you to accompany all the showings. What do they want? And then rule number three is only work with people who want what you want. I got nothing else to do. And I've read that book a million times. And then the fourth one's deliver plus one. So know what you want. What's a good client for you? And if the client, and here's the trick, is basically saying, tell me about your prior real estate experiences and what your expectations are based on that. Oh my God, my last realtor was amazing. She showed me over 100 houses over the course of 2 years before I bought something. I'm not your guy. My realtor was amazing. She checked my kids in school and got them inoculated. Then she met the mover at the house. I'm not your guy. And I could sell your house in 24 hours and get you 103% of ask. And I look for a referral. And they go, well, yeah, but you didn't call me back, or you didn't show the house, or you didn't do whatever, because I didn't ask what their expectations were. So ask it on the buy side and the sell side. Tell me, have you ever bought or sold a house before? Yes, we have. How did it go? Got 50-50 shot. It was miserable. I was on my third agent, whatever. And maybe they're paying. Maybe they're one of those people you get 30 days, 60 days, and they're going to fire you. That's going to be a new, for some of you guys, that's coming up. You haven't seen an expired listing in a long, long time. They're coming back. And people get frustrated, and agents don't price the houses correctly, and they don't compare. Yeah, you're a $300,000 house, but the builder's still building for $300,000, and it was brand new. And oh, by the way, they're giving away $20,000 in financing incentives. So your 300 house is 280, and I'm sorry that just beat the daylights out of your profit, but you got to have that conversation with them to get them priced right. Yes, ma'am, you've been very patient.
I was just going to ask, what do you do? How are you following up with them every month?
Oh, okay. So the question, what do we do with the database? So they get mail every month, snail mail. You can send a letter of evidence of success postcard, which is, here's how I helped this family. Here's how I helped the first-time home buyer. Here's how I helped these people before they're going to have the baby. Here's how I helped this inbound reload or this estate sale. And they, oh, I didn't know you did that. Oh, I didn't know you did that. So you came to the rescue. You fixed that problem. And it's a little bit of brag, but it's more about how you helped other people and what a problem solver you are. The other thing you send is a letter of the heart. That's a personal letter, not tear stained, not about how you overcame your cocaine addiction. But it's got to be something personal about how much you love October. Man, you know, July and August and September are brutal in San Antonio. Man, first week of October, it's just great. Our San Diego stretch. Or what you're doing for Halloween, or fond memories, or things like that. So we do those things. We've got a newsletter that goes out every month electronically. We're doing a Santa party, which I've done for 25 years, milking cookies with the big guy at my house. And I bring my clients come in, and I had one young lady came in last year. She's 18 years old, senior at Churchill, going to A&M, and her mom and dad carried her into the first one. And so she hadn't been to 18, but she'd been to 13 or 14 of the 18 over that time. And a whole lot of kids come back the second, third, fourth time around, and it's just a blast. And we'll put out 1,000 cookies. And instead of going to the mall and having, stay in the line for 2.5 hours and have a meltdown at the last minute, when you realize how creepy that thing actually is, they can sit at my house and torment dog and get a cookie and screw up their courage and then get their family picture taken. Not every month. I toggle back and forth on that. But early on, I did. Until I got kind of this momentum built up. I did. Yes. Great vendor. Reaching neighbors. For a no, that's the postcard. They'll download your database and do carrier pre-sort +4 barcoded, first class, merge it, clean it, and send them out for you. You said, but you got to get the content. Reaching neighbors.
Absolutely awesome.
Phenomenal.
You can do them yourself, and it looks like a third grader down. No.
I'm on Salesforce, so I would recommend Top Producer for most everybody. Salesforce is the 400-pound gorilla, and it's brutal, but it's insanely robust. And Top Producer is the way to go for my mind. And KV Core. I mean, you can do a lot with KV Core. and it's several companies have that as their platform, so it's not an extra charge, or it's a very nominal charge. But the top producer is about $50 a user. It's internet-based. It connects with your MLS. It's got a lot of modules, and it's really robust. And it does a lot. Yes, sir.
When you say a top 5 influential, can you give me a little bit more information as far as what are you looking for in that influential type person?
Well, you got to have access to them. They can be rock stars, but if they're not going to return your call, you're not mutually aligned on values, they're not going to be any use to you. So the people that you know in relation, most affluent people that you went to school with, that are business owners, HR managers, senior people, or they're in their financial services or something like that. They're this kind of in the sales business. CPAs are not great because they're kind of a lot of them have close practices and they don't get it. HR is a little bit tough. They're the most risk averse people I've ever met. You think you're going to get the account for the builder, or the builder, the company. Those are tough to get. But just the one-on-one stuff with business owners, wealthy people, retired people. Because everyone tells their story. They don't sound in their own voice. So tell me, hey, you've been very successful. Tell me your story. How'd you get in the widget business? Why is your widget better than anybody else's widget? And oh, son, let me tell you all about it. And so, I mean, scotch. So that's what you do. And just do it again and again and again. And there's a whole other class that we can teach. Yeah. There's a whole other class we can teach about that process as far as why we should align with one another, why we wouldn't align with one another. We might spend a couple minutes on that here in a second. Did I answer your question? Did? Okay, cool.
Is that the 5 reasons?
Yeah. I made more money on that than anything else I've ever done. So, okay, I'll share. We had a speaker years ago at the Core, phenomenal guy, fascinating, brilliant. And he said, this is universally applicable. You can do this in just about anything, any relationship that you have. There are 5 reasons why we would align with one another. If you want or I want one of these 5. So what would be the first reason you and I would align with one another?
Sales industry.
Well, okay, so money. You send me a deal, I send you money. So that's appropriate in some relationships, not appropriate in other relationships. Right? Now,
Hey, Dayton, to each his own.
Yeah. No judgment. I'm just saying. You can do that. If you were sending a referral to Dallas, you want a referral fee, right? There's other people you can't pay bird dog fees and all that sort of thing, so I'm not suggesting that. But we figure, assuming, I jumped a step, assuming they've got something you want, they've got customers that you want, or a service that you want, or something like that, then you decide, what do I want from these people? And what do they want from me? So fees is one. You give me a deal, I give you money. Referrals is another. That's the reciprocity. You give me a deal, those are tough because people want to trade. Well, you first. You give me a deal, then I'll give you a deal. We'll get that sort of thing. So you got to play that game. Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. The other thing they might want from you is a loyalty uplift, which means you're bigger than they are. So by hanging out with you, you make them look like a rock star. That's why you join a country club. That's why you go to a really nice title company, because they elevate you and you have a great experience. Shameless plug. And that's why you drive a Mercedes, because it makes you look like a big shot. And that's loyalty uplift. I didn't buy my Mercedes because it's reliable transportation to town every single day. I bought it because it makes me look way bigger than I am. And I waited a long, long time for that. But anyway, loyalty uplift, prevent client loss. This is my favorite role. This is the subcontractor role. You send them to me, I'm going to take really good care of them, bring them back to you in one piece. It can be an extension of your practice, an extension of your brand, really represent the client, advocate for them, and that's the role I want to play. That's what I want from any referral partner. I want to be that prevent client loss guy. And the 5th one's a joint venture. And a joint venture is we're both left-handed Episcopalians, and we're going to work that constituency together. We're going to share the fruit from that tree, and we got something in common, whether it's an alumni association or an affinity organization or something like that. We're going to work that together. Those are hard to manage, hard to maintain. They're doable, but it's a challenge. So what's your number one? You go through those 5 and you articulate those 5 and say, what's most important to you in the role that I play as a real estate agent? What do you want from me? Well, I want referrals. Okay, I don't want to give you referrals. I need referrals back from you. And I've learned the hard way, and I made this problem. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll give you a referral. And then nothing ever happens. And so then 6 months later, it's, oh, snap, I owe you. Oh, man, I'm sorry, I owe you a deal. And you don't get anywhere with them. So what do you want? You want money from me under the table? No, that's not going to work. I can't do that. If you want reciprocity, which is the referrals, maybe we can, maybe we can't. It depends on the circumstances. You hanging out with me makes you look like a rock star. That's flattering, but that doesn't make me a whole lot of money, and so whatever. But you wouldn't go to a mortgage company working out of the trunk of their car. You wouldn't go to a tile company that's dealing with TV trays and card tables to operate on. The tile company, your name's on the board, you want your client's name's on the board, pictures of the house on the wall, and all that stuff. When you come in, you look like a rock star. So what do you want? Fees, referrals, joint venture, prevent client loss, loyalty uplift. What's your number one? And they'll say, my number one is X. My number one is referrals. They say, well, I can't do that. Oh, okay, nice visiting with you, thank you. Or, yeah, okay, I get it. You want referrals from me, and here's what I want from you. I want you to take really good care of my customers, and don't let them get hurt. Fair enough. That's music to my ears. So that's where people stop, and that's the big mistake. The money is why don't we work together? You and I like each other. You seem like a nice person. We get along. We got shared values. We got some mutual acquaintances, and so on and so on. So we're in agreement, right? You're taking a look. We're in agreement, right? Cool. So give me your database. Oh, not so fast, right? Right. So what is that? What's that initial emotion? Fear. That's correct. Fear is that initial one. So there are 5 fears. And this is sales 101. Isolate the objection, overcome the objection. So what's a fear? Give me a fear.
Fear of failure.
Pardon me? No, we're already getting along. We like each other. We got mutual acquaintance. We're shared values. I mean, we may not have been in the foxhole together, but we're okay. We don't have shared sacrifice necessarily. We've at the very least shared values.
You say somebody, then they're going to mess up the deal.
Okay.
Or you're going to mess up the deal.
Okay, so that comes in a couple of different ways. So that could be a quality match. But so for me, if you show up in shredded jeans and Birkenstocks, I'm not going to put you with one of my 7-figure coupling clients. The flip side of that is if you show up rocking a $20,000 Rolex in a big Mercedes, you might be a little bit too much for my scared little bunny rabbit Prius driving first time. Quality match is your letterhead, the way your office looks, the way you dress, the jokes you tell, your table manners. We've all got that friend that we love, and they're so much fun, but they can be incredibly inappropriate at the wrong time. You love them, you want to hang out with them, but you never put them in the client, right? But they're great people. They tell off-color jokes or do something else like that, and so you cringe a little bit, and you still want to hang out with them because you go way back, but you never put them in the client. It's quality match. And so, quality match. So the fears are trust. I like you, I think, but I don't trust you quite yet. That's most people's initial fear. Not sure how this is going to work. The next fear is bang for buck. It's just not worth it. You just don't do that much business, or I don't have that many clients, or whatever. It's not worth it. We're not going to pursue this anymore. It's just not worth my time. So that's my fear sometimes when I'm dealing with somebody. If they're not going to send me 2 or 3 deals a year, I'm looking for a greater share of wallet, if you will. Okay? So bang for buck. The next fear is control. Who are my control freaks? You, yeah, okay, yeah, right? You want it your way. You want to know what's going on every single time. You want a lot of communication.
I'm recovering.
Pardon me?
I'm recovering.
Good for you.
But there are certain checkpoints I would like to,
The next one's organizational consistency. So why do you go to McDonald's? Because of the great food and their effervescent personalities?
Yeah.
It's a really romantic experience? No. Because you know when you're dead dog tired and it's late, you know you can get a Big Mac and it's going to taste exactly like the Big Mac 300 miles away. I mean, organization, same thing every single time. It's organizational. But if you do any reload business, it's got to be the same thing every single time. If you do Equator and short sales, It's got to be the same thing every single time. You get a yellow, you're in trouble. If it goes to red, you're done on their scale, period. No, I don't care how much you did, how hot shot you think you are, anything else. So organizational consistency is one thing. The first time I gave you a deal, it was great. The second time, you handed them off to somebody else, and then so-and-so called them, and it just wasn't the same process. So that's my fear. It's organizational consistency. So trust, control, bang for buck, organizational consistency, quality match. What's your fear? What are you afraid of? I'm afraid you're a slob. You're a slob, and you tell an inappropriate joke, and I don't want you with my clients. Oh, okay. Or you don't dress right, or whatever. I love you, but you got fear. What's that fear? I just don't quite trust you yet. And you say, okay, fine, that's cool. I understand that. It takes a little while to build trust. How do you earn trust? How do you build trust? Keep small promises. Keep small promises. But what I'm going to go back and say is, well, tell me again how you know Mark. Because Mark's one of my best referral partners, and I've known him for 17 years. I would never do anything to jeopardize that relationship. So if you trust Mark, you can trust me. He's very special to me. So that's called a triangle for trust. I'm going to go back to, and anytime you give me any grief or fuss at me at all about anything, I'm going to say, I promised Mark I was going to take great care of you. I promised Mark I wasn't going to let anybody hurt you. I'm going to go back, because if I just say, oh, Mark, yeah, okay, so what do we need to work on? I completely devalue that referral. We don't spend enough time elevating that. You got, oh, Mark, how in the world do you know Mark? Oh, my God, he's great. I can't believe we haven't met. I mean, you got to make a big deal about it. How do you know Phil? He's amazing. We've been coming out and saying words for 20 years. I can't believe we've never met. I mean, you got to elevate them a little bit. And then they'd say, oh, well, Phil said you were okay, then I guess you're okay. And here you go. So trust, control, and you got to be able to show them. You want to see my processes? Come to my office, and I'll show you how my folders are color-coded. Here's all my checklists. Here's my system. Here's my communication schedule, and so on and so on. If that's your fear, I want to be able to overcome that fear. I want to show you. You want to know about trust could be. I can show you all my thank you notes and all my surveys that we've collected over the years and things like that. So I want to show you that I'm trustworthy, that I'm reliable. You can count on me. I'm going to take good care of your clients. When you get back to those processes to get to the next level, you got to have a brag book. You got to have a book of all your thank you notes, all your reviews, all that stuff in there, so that if push comes to shove, you can hand that to somebody. Get spiral bound or whatever, and it's good for you. It reminds you when we beat ourselves up a lot, and also say, I really didn't take good care of them. We're harder on ourselves than the clients are, but it's a good reminder of why we're here and what we do, and the service that we provide. I mean, it's really cool. It's a very intimate experience. You put somebody in a house, there's a lot of things. I mean, the good times, the bad times, the fun. I mean, it's amazing. And we just say, oh, hey, thanks. Call me if you need me. And we don't really preserve it like we should. Memorialize it like we should. Questions? Yes, ma'am. Thank you for playing along, too.
Yeah, would you be open to maybe doing a class on showing us your systems and processes and how you've managed to build your business for so many years?
Sure. I used to have a 100-mile rule. If you were 100 miles away, I'd tell you anything. And if you were within a 100-mile radius, there's no way I was going to. I've given up on that. Like I said, people were nice to me when I was nothing special, and they shared some stuff with me, and so I'm getting a little bit less insecure about doing that. So we'll make something happen. If I get a return engagement, this may be a one and done deal. We'll get the feedback later. But if I get a return engagement, then we can sit down and talk about pre-listing checklist, a buyer checklist, an escrow checklist, I got them all. And so, and
For a while, like up until about 4 years ago, me and Dayton would do this 2 or 3 times a year. And then COVID came along, and my wife locked me up in our house for 4 years. It was the first time we've done it since then. But yeah, I think that would be a great class.
Pull the pillowcase off his head. He's kind of blinking. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Can you a little bit more about your credit
So when we take the client's application, we have a tool that we can run that tells us exactly what to do to get their scores where it needs to be.
the rapid rescore?
Well, rapid rescore is when you send it in with proof that they've done this or they've done that. It's just a program that we run through. It's a what if scenario, right? And then like if they're below like a 560, 550, that's credit repair. So we have somebody that we send them to. Credit repair is probably the trickiest thing in the world, right? Most of the time you send them in and it's like a black hole. They go in and never come back. So we've worked really hard to try and find the right person. But it's a conversation we have with them. We'll do all the work. And if you have somebody, if not, we'll send it to our person. And 3 to 6 months, they normally come back and they're great.
There's some really good professionals in that space, and there's some bad actors too.
Yeah.
They will rip people off and just milk them for everything they got, and it's whatever. So be super careful about it.
I like Dayton Schrader. That's who I've been using recently, and he's been around for quite some time. I've used probably in 23 years, I've probably used 15 or 20 different individuals or companies, and most of them are shysters, right? Like I really don't like the ones that are going to just charge you $150 a month or whatever. Because why would you ever fix it?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no end point.
No incentive to lose the client.
Yeah.
Guys, yes, sir. Just wait. It was an auction. You bought it right there. All right. I can't thank you enough for your time and attention. That really means a lot to me. I'm really grateful for the invitation and to be able to listen to the sound of my own voice for almost an hour, more than I can stand, and the chance to show off the Vision title and then work with some really great referral partners and super professionals in this business. Please give them an opportunity to earn greater share of wallet. Refer them the way you want to be referred. And there may be somebody in your office that's a good colleague that you think might be a really good fit. They'll do a buddy lunch with you or a cup of coffee or something like that. Don't hook them up with the drama queen. Hook them up with a really good person that wants to go to work every day and wants to grow their business. They're like-minded kind of people. And then you've got a tremendous resource in Bill for insurance is the product, but the process and the service is way beyond that. Again, a commodity business, you're really good in a commodity business. Commodity business, really good. And I'm the same way. I'm working on getting it. But that's just that's what we do. So, guys, thank you all again very much. Let me know if there's anything else you do.